Reports of vote buying across the country swamped the Philippine National Police 3 days ahead of the midterm elections. Larga Mayor Carlwin Baldo surrenders to Legazpi City Court over Ako Bicol Representative Rodel Batocabe killing. Motorcycle booking app Angkas allowed to operate again. And billionaire Jeff Bezos unveils moon lander to take astronauts to the moon by 2024. Good evening. Thousands of passengers flocked to the Araneta Center bus port today to take their bus rides in time for Monday's elections. Maya Bermudez will tell us why.
Just like the situation during the long holiday last month, passengers are facing the challenge of taking the chance to travel to their provinces this Friday at the Araneta Center Bus Station, where some 8,000 passengers are expected to flock in order to get to their hometowns where they will cast their votes on Monday.
Ngayon talaga ang hirap sumakay, di nga namin alam kung makakasakay talaga kami kasi wala pang bus. Ano pa lang, parating pa lang. Masikip po talaga.
Evelyn Atazar, who hails from Masbate and took her chance to work in Manila, said she's decided to travel for 12 long hours to vote on Monday for the kind of change she is aspiring for.
Mahirap po pag umuulan, maputik. Yun ang namin sa barangay namin. Bundok talaga.
Meanwhile, the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority or MMDA said they monitored taxi cab drivers who violated the no-loading-unloading policy at bus terminals.
Nasabi na namin, kapay sa yung mga karato lang, pasang-pasa naman nila yun. Ang kita nila, lalaki. Ayaw lang nila sundin. Kahit yung super, kung pwede sa akin sumunod na sa panutunan ng batas trapiko. Huwag na magdahilan.
The MMDA has reminded the public earlier to expect heavy traffic due to the number coding scheme suspension on provincial buses, last-minute campaigns, and the slightly rainy weather. Ramon Legazpi, the Araneta Center bus terminal manager, reminds passengers travel early and travel light.
Doon po sa mga hahabol pang pasero, mangyari po agahan lang nila pagpunta dito sa ating bus station at ganoon din sa bus port. At mangyari, limita rin po nila yung kanilang mga bagahe para hindi rin ito maging cause ng pagkakaantala ng pag-alis ng mga buses.
The Araneta Center bus port caters to travelers heading to and from Central Luzon, Southern Tagalog, Bicol Region, Visayas, and Mindanao. Maya Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Philippine National Police arrests 24 individuals for being allegedly involved in vote buying. April Senadosa explains why.
In a press briefing on Friday in Camp Crame, Philippine National Police or PNP Director for Operations Mao Aplaska stated that several individuals had been arrested by the police for alleged involvement in vote buying. The official reported that 24 persons have been arrested from Calabarzon and the Cordillera region since the start of the election period on January 13, 2019. According to PNP, the said figure includes the 10 supporters of Cavite gubernatorial candidate John Vic Remulla, who had been charged for violation of the Omnibus Election Code due to alleged vote buying. It can be noted they were arrested in an operation in Barangay Zapote 5, Bacoor City on May 4.
This time we will take vote buying very seriously. That's why they have issued this resolution.
It was on May 8 when the Commission on Elections or COMELEC launched Task Force Contra Bigay with the aim to address vote buying incidents. The poll body last week formed a resolution creating a task force for the purpose of investigating and prosecuting vote buying cases. In the said task force, COMELEC has partnered with the PNP, the Department of Interior and Local Government, the National Bureau of Investigation, and the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. The PNP advises the public to report complaints on vote buying or other election offenses through their hotlines, which are operational 24 hours every day until after the elections.
To those who are planning to buy and sell their votes, na gagawin namin lahat and wag na silang mag-attempt.
Vote buying is defined as the act of any person who gives, offers or promises money or anything of value, directly or indirectly, in order to induce anyone or the public in general to vote for or against any candidate. Vote selling, on the other hand, is the act of a person association, corporation, group, or community who solicits or receives directly or indirectly in exchange of voting for or against any candidate. Vote buying and vote selling are considered election offenses, which carry the penalty of 1 to 6 years imprisonment, removal of right to vote, and disqualification to hold public office, according to COMELEC. April Senedoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
President Rodrigo Duterte reminds everyone to follow the rules on May 13 midterm elections. Rosa Licos will tell us why.
There are only 3 days left before the 2019 national and local elections on Monday, May 13. Tomorrow, Saturday, is the last day of the official campaign period. Before the elections, President Rodrigo Duterte reminds everyone to follow the rules implemented in connection to the midterm elections to avoid any complications.
Promise the people that kaning election and every other election that will take place during my time, my watch, just follow rules. It's when you start to break rules, mga mo nang maggalit-letse. Sundin mo lang yung batas at walang problema.
He also advises his allies, as well as the opposition, to respect each other's stand.
This is for my candidates and for the opposition. Everybody's stand or position must be respected. That is the rule in this country. This is democracy.
It is possible that he will attend the Partido Demokratiko Pilipino Lakas ng Bayan or PDP Laban's final rally tomorrow. But the president insists he is not convincing Filipino voters to vote for his endorsed candidates.
So direta sa kandidato sa nasyonal. Tama, motoo mo og dili. Di ko mo convincer ninyo. Actually, di ko mayon boto mo tungod kay mo ni Bisaya.
He also believes not all of his endorsed candidates for senator would win. The president said he continues to remind registered Filipino voters to carefully consider whom to vote for.
He have about 12. I do not think that, on the low averages, I do not think that this 12 will make it. But kung ito lang man ipalit ninyo, you better think, please. Think hard and sleep on it tonight. It's just around the corner.
The chief executive is expected to stay in Davao City during the elections and vote in his hometown. Rosa Licos, UNTV, News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Department of Transportation approves the legitimate operations of angkas for 6 months as part of pilot testing. Joan Nano tells us why.
For lawmakers to have a better knowledge and aid on amending the law prohibiting the use of motorcycles in public transportation, and to hear the calls of passengers asking to bring back the operations of motorcycle taxis, the Department of Transportation or DOTR has approved the operating guidelines of motorcycle ride-hailing service angkas.
Ito rin yung hiling ng Senado and Kongreso na magkaroon nga muna ng pilot implementation ng proposed na measure na ito for the motorcycle taxis para rin makatulong sa pagbabalangkas na mas more detailed na regulations na ilalagay dun sa kanilang batas.
But the agency clarifies this is just a trial that will run for 6 months. Their decision is still subject to changes depending on the performance during the operations of angkas. The Transportation Department will strictly observe the number of road accidents that would involve motorcycle taxis. Angkas must also provide insurance for their passengers in case of an accident. Their fare matrix will also be monitored. The management of angkas have expressed their gratitude for the DOTR's decision, saying this is a great help for the welfare of around 27,000 riders whose bread and butter are their motorcycle taxis.
We're hoping that we can really make good use of this pilot as a big opportunity to do a real-world test case so that we can do the necessary regulations and fine-tune the necessary rules and IRR, make a better law.
Although the pilot is just a trial for 6 months, several angkas riders are happy with the decision as they can now freely ply on the roads to earn a living.
Hindi na kami matatakot sa daan. Hindi na yung para kaming kriminal na umiiwas sa mga checkpoint, sa mga nanguhuli o kung sino-sino.
Wala na po kaming alalahanin na anytime may pagliko namin sa kanto, may nag-aabang pala, uhulihin na pala kami. Maraming salamat po dahil binigyan nyo kami ng pagkakataon na i-approve ang aming anak buhay.
In a statement, Angka CEO Angeline Tam said being back on the road is a momentous day in history for them. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Amazon entrepreneur Jeff Bezos announced its first lunar lander spacecraft that aims to take equipment and humans to the moon by 2024. Kath Dumaraos will explain why.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This was the first words uttered by a man on the surface of the moon during the first moonwalk on July 20th, 1969. But in just 5 years, rocket company Blue Origin plans to carry scientific instruments, satellites, rovers, and even humans to the moon's surface. Billionaire entrepreneur Jeff Bezos unveiled on Thursday a mock-up of a lunar lander spacecraft named Blue Moon. It will feature a new rocket engine called BE-7 that can blast 4,535 kilograms of thrust. It comes loaded with enough fuel to get from Earth to the moon.
Vice President Pence just recently said it's the stated policy of this administration and the United States of America to return American astronauts to the moon within the next 5 years. I love this. It's the right thing to do. And for those of you doing the arithmetic at home, that's 2024. And we can help meet that timeline, but only because we started 3 years ago. It's time to go back to the moon, this time to stay.
Blue Origin is also developing its new Shepard rocket from short space tourism trips and a heavy lift launch rocket called New Glenn for satellite launch contracts. It is aiming to deliver the New Glenn rocket by 2021 while launching humans in a suborbital flight later this year atop its rocket and capsule New Shepard. Blue Origin has also previously discussed the human outpost on the moon. NASA has already set its sights on the moon's south pole, a region believed to hold enough recoverable ice water for use in synthesizing additional rocket fuel as well as for drinking water. Bezos, who has talked about his broader vision of enabling a future in which millions of people live and work in space, has been intent on moving Blue Origin closer to commercialization. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Commission on Elections tasked the Legal Network for Truthful Elections, or LENTE, to be the lead convener for the random manual audit this 2019 midterm elections. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, has decided to make the Legal Network for Truthful Elections, or LENTE, to be the lead convener for the random manual audit this 2019 local and national elections. This is LENTE's first time to be the lead convener for the random manual audit. The Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting, or PPCRV, was the lead convener during the 2010 and 2013 elections, while NAMFREL handled the task in 2016. It can be noted, NAMFREL backed out 2 weeks before the elections because COMELEC didn't grant the request to have open access to data and information on the election results.
Under our resolution, the Random Manual Committee is composed of 3 members: COMELEC, PSA, and a civil society organization. It was supposed to be NAMFREL, but 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks before election, they left us. So we have to scramble for to look for another civil society organization.
According to Lente, they have prepared for the random manual audit as they are also pushing for the transparency of the automated election system in the country. They have also trained some of their members as supervisors of teachers who will voluntarily serve during the random manual audit.
We have already 12 trained volunteers to act as supervisors of the teachers who will be auditing the ballots in the random manual audit. So ready naman kami and prepared kami, and we took on the task despite the time limitations because we believe that the random manual audit is a necessary process and it ensures credibility in the election.
COMELEC targets to start the counter-checking of ballots manually from selected polling precincts on May 15 in Diamond Hotel. There are 715 clustered precincts from different regions in the country, which will be the source of ballots from the random manual audit. COMELEC has ordered regional election offices to open a small part of the upper right corner of ballot boxes to assure that the ballots are really for their area. This order was mandated after some areas had received wrong ballots. There are also some polling places that received corrupted SD cards for vote counting machines. A total of more than 85,000 secure digital or SD cards will be used in all polling places in the country. COMELEC's protocol is to report such issue to them to have the SD cards replaced and documented.
So, the order was issued to check the contents of the boxes by opening a small window in the box where the ballot information is located. When an SD card is reported as corrupted, we respond by preparing replacement cards. And the replacement cards are then swapped for the corrupted SD cards. Or as they say, kaliwaan yan. So, we do not issue out new SD cards unless we get the corrupted SD cards in return.
The liquor ban will be implemented from Sunday to Monday for the conduct of peaceful and orderly elections. Tomorrow is the last day of the campaign period, so COMELEC reminds the public to be wise in choosing which candidates to vote for on May 13. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Meanwhile, the Department of Energy or DOE assures the public that the country has enough power supply during elections and canvassing of votes. Joanne Nano tells us why.
To ensure there will be enough power supply during the elections next week, various agencies under the Department of Energy or DOE have joined their forces to address possible power outage during the casting and canvassing of votes next week. DOE spokesperson Undersecretary Wimpy Fuentebelle said that since February, they have activated a task force election to ensure they will have proper coordination in case of a problem with power supply during and after the elections. Although the DOE has yet to see a possible power outage, the whole energy sector is on standby to immediately respond in case of failure with the power supply. A command center will be set up in the DOE office in Taguig City where the public may report problems with electricity in their areas.
Ina-assure po natin ang ating mga kababayan that the energy family is working 24/7, not only for monitoring but we've also deployed our personnel to make sure na yung mga kuryente galing sa planta papunta sa mga polling places at sa mga canvassing stations ay magkakaroon ng sapat na kuryente.
Among the agencies on alert are the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, National Electrification Administration or NEA, and the Manila Electric Company or Meralco. Apart from the preparation of generator sets, floodlights, and electric linemen, Meralco has also conducted an inspection on the electrical wirings and other facilities among polling precincts.
We're actually 100% complete in terms of inspecting yung mga facilities ng Meralco, especially those serving the polling and the canvassing centers.
The NGCP will also be strictly monitoring the power supply situation in the event of yellow or red alert status.
In case na merong disturbance na mangyayari na hopefully wala, meron kaming nakadeploy na resources, tao, sa available equipment to mobilize doon sa site para ma-minimize yung disturbance.
The NEA has also asked the electric operatives in the provinces not to conduct any maintenance shutdown of the power plants to ensure there will be no brownout.
We have also advised the electric operatives not to
conduct preventive maintenance na a week before and after election. That's in order to ensure continuous power sa kanilang franchise areas.
The energy sector assures they are not seeing any problems that may arise with the power supply situation except for unexpected eventualities. Johanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Taguig City.
Senate President Vicente Soto III sees Senators Panfilo Lacson or Franklin Drilon as the new leader of the upper chamber of Congress if there will be voting to take place for a new Senate leadership in the 18th Congress. Nel Maribohok will tell us why.
Newbie and returning senators may become part of the 18th Congress after the 2019 midterm elections. For the victors, the battle does not end after winning the elections. The real challenge continues when they become part of the legislature. If they luckily get included in the Magic 12, a winning senatorial candidate may become a chairman of one or two Senate committees. There are 40 committees in the upper house of Congress in the country. A committee handled by a senator traditionally depends on their interest and specialization. Every new Congress, both the upper and the lower houses, may seek new leaders. Senate President Vicente Soto III said he is willing to step down if someone will secure majority of the votes in the chamber to replace him. According to him, if this happens, he sees veteran Senators Panfilo Lacson or Franklin Drilon as his replacement.
Senator Lacson, Senator Drilon, they have leadership qualities.
Currently, there are no talks or gossips of changing the leader of the Senate.
Wala naman kumakausap sa akin.
A total of 62 candidates are running for senator in the 2019 midterm elections. Nel Maribohok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Jobs, housing, and justice are issues some Filipinos hope the new officials to be elected after the midterm elections can resolve. Dante Amento will tell us why in this collaborative report.
Bakit mahalaga po sa iyo ang issue sa trabaho?
Yung issue ng trabaho para matugunan ko yung pangangailangan ng aking anak at makapagtapos yung aking anak na 3 sa pag-aaral. At yung 512 na kita ko sa isang araw ay hindi sapat. Kaya sana taasan po ang sahod ko sa trabaho.
30-year-old Ricky De La Cruz has pawned his automated teller machine or ATM card to a 5-6 money lender for 7 years now. The interest from his loan has kept piling up, so almost nothing is left from his 500 peso daily wage as a factory worker in Quezon City. Every month, his problem is where to get money to pay his household's utility bills.
Sinangla ko yung ATM ko dahil sa kailangan ko ng pera. Hanggang ngayon di ko pa nakukuha, 7 taon na. Palipat-lipat lang siya ng pinagsasanglaan. Lalong-lalo na magpapasukan na naman yung mga estudyante, yung mga anak ko. Uutang naman ako ng pambili ng gamit nila.
Ricky's wife and children rely mainly on him every day. He hopes to find a better paying job to earn enough for his family's needs.
Daming importante sino ang issue sa mga pabahay.
Siyempre, tungod sa kadugayon namon, ang isang una po pamana ko, sa pamamata ko, dari kami kaginabahaan, kami kada ulan, magbaha, di sabon na sa ding tubi, oh. Ti amon ang ako nga ginapangayo nga gusto ko, matagaan mo ko balasang, bisan gamay lang bala nga may istaran man kami, na hindi man kami magpinitensya.
74-year-old Annie Tubesa, a widow, has been moving into different houses for 20 years now. She and her children do not have enough money to pay for house rent, so they often end up evicted. They are living as an informal settlers now in Zone 1 Barangay Singkang Airport in Bacolod City. The owner of the lot had notified them to leave the area, but they have nowhere to go to. Annie earns a measly income insufficient to even buy her and her 3 children's daily meals.
Wala man kami yung planuhan pa mga idasok, kundi kinaplanuhan pa lang nga palingon kami, di hindi ko magalibulduson kami. Simpre bigado kami, ano ibayad namon, halusong nga kami kabakalatot ngayon.
Annie dreams to have a proper house for the future of her children. Bakit po mahalaga para sa iyo ang issue ng hustisya sa ating bansa?
Para sa akin, ang hustisya, karapatan ng tao yun.
makamtan. Sa akin kasi hanggang ngayon na walang hustisya ang anak ko. Napaka bigat na dalhin para sa akin. Baka kung hindi ko matanggap yung hustisya sa anak ko, hindi ako matatahimik hanggang pumanaw ako.
Rohermina Asjali's son was one of the Special Action Force or SAF-44, the police commandos who perished in an encounter in Tucanalipa, Mamasapano, Maguindanao on January 25, 2015. More than 4 years had passed, but they have not achieved justice for her son as no one has been made accountable for the gruesome killing of the SAF-44. Because Rohermina's family is hard-pressed for money, they cannot afford to pay for a lawyer to fight for her son's case.
Hindi ko na maano yung anak ko talaga. Binaril pa yun dito sa mukha. Masakit talaga. Kaya kung akala ng mga yan, yung may kagagawa, nakalimutan ko yung anak ko. Hanggang kamatayan, dala-dala ko to.
Rohermina hopes that the new public officials will remember what happened to the SAF-44. Jobs, housing and justice. These are just some of the woes of ordinary Filipinos which they hope someday will be resolved.
Mahalaga sa akin na maibigay ang hustisya sa bawat Pilipino na ate. At iboto ko ang kandidatong tutulong sa amin para makamit ito.
Mahalaga sa akin ang trabaho at iboboto ko ang kandidatong tutulong sa amin para makamit ito.
Ang importante sa akon, matagaan ako sang librigid nga balay, nga hindi ako mag-antos ang tulok ag baha. Gani kung sinugid ang makakuan sa akon, makabulig sa akon, para matagaan ako sang libre nga balay.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue, Philippines.
In other news, the manhunt operation for the arrest of Peter Jomel Advincula, who claims to be Bicoy, is already underway according to the Philippine National Police. Based on the press statement of the PNP, Advincula is facing arrest for estafa and large-scale illegal recruitment. Judge Leody M. Opolito of the Municipal Trial Court of La Trinidad Benguet issued a warrant of arrest against Advincula and his cohorts on September 26, 2007. The Regional Trial Court, 3rd Branch of Baguio City, also issued a warrant of arrest for large-scale illegal recruitment on August 10, 2007. Advincula committed illegal recruitment in 2007 after charging 300 pesos training fee in exchange for employment at Colegio de la Pontifical Academia in Baguio City. PNP spokesperson Police Colonel Bernard Banac advises the public to report to authorities any information that could lead to the arrest of Advincula and his cohorts. Meanwhile, suspended Mayor of Daraga Albay finally surrenders to authorities 3 days after being declared a wanted person by the police. Alan Manansala will tell us why.
Baldo is now detained in a jail in Legazpi City, Albay after surrendering to authorities Friday morning. Police said Baldo went to the Legazpi City Regional Trial Court Branch 10 to voluntarily surrender days after a warrant of arrest was released by the court. It can be recalled that Baldo also eluded arrest when police personnel came to his house and his office to serve the warrant of arrest against him 4 days ago. Baldo's family and his lawyer, Attorney Merito Levinsky Fernandez, accompanied him during his surrender. The suspended mayor is being pointed to be the mastermind of the killing of Ako Bicol Party List Representative Rodel Batocabe and his aide, SPO2 Orlando Diaz, on December 22, 2018 during a gift-giving event for senior citizens in Barangay Burgos, Daraga, Albay. 6 elderly were also wounded in the incident. The mayor is now facing charges for murder and attempted murder. The court has set the arraignment on May 30. Meanwhile, the Batocabe family is happy with Baldo's surrender. Attorney Justine Batocabe, son of the slain Ako Bicol Party List representative, said that although Baldo surrendered, this does not hide the fact that he evaded capture for 5 days. The lawyer also believes that the fact that Baldo went on hiding is indication of guilt and could make their case stronger. Incumbent Vice Mayor Victor Perete will sit as officer in charge of Daraga Albay as per order of the Department of the Interior and Local Government. while Gertrudes Batucabe will assume the candidacy of her slain spouse who was running for mayor of Daraga Albay. Alan Manansala, UNTV News and Rescue, Daraga Albay.
U.S. President Donald Trump hosts the Boston Red Sox in the White House, but not all of them are there. Asher Kadapan Jr. will tell us why.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President.
U.S. President Donald Trump welcomed the 2018 World Series winning Boston Red Sox baseball team to the White House on Thursday. Trump was accompanied by two of the team's stars, Martinez and pitcher Chris Sale, from the Oval Office and joined the rest of the team assembled under the South Portico. The Red Sox beat the Los Angeles Dodgers, winning their fourth World Series in 15 years.
It's an amazing feeling. Through every pitch, inning, game, and series, the 2018 Red Sox never gave up and never backed down. You always played like champions. This is a great champion right here, too. This is some champion. I want to congratulate you all on your spectacular victory.
Red Sox outfielder JD Martinez also delivered a message for a lifelong New York Yankees fan, Trump, and then presented him with a Boston Red Sox jersey.
I just want to say thank you, Mr. President, for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be honored today here at the White House. And I know celebrating a Red Sox victory is tough for you, given that you're a Yankee fan and all. But we really want to say thank you for your hospitality today.
The visit, however, is shadowed with controversy of racial divide, as early a dozen members of the team, all players of color, skipped the opportunity to shake Trump's hand. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue.
After this weekend, millions of Filipinos will go out and vote all over the country. Let's find out what statistics say about Filipino voters from Mon Hokson.
Did you know that according to the Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, there are more than 61 million registered voters in the Philippines in the coming 2019 midterm elections?
Weh, totoo ba yan?
You heard it right. Aside from this, there are almost 2 million registered Filipino voters outside the Philippines.
Amazing!
No wonder many candidates are enticing overseas Filipino workers. The most number of voters outside the country are those in the Middle East and Africa, which account for almost 1 million. While there are 500,000 registered Filipino voters in Asia Pacific.
Pagbabago, totoong pagbabago!
The 2019 midterm election in the Philippines is expected to be dominated by the youth sector, or age 18 to 29. 31% or more than 18 million registered voters are youth, while our beloved grandparents comprise only 9% or equivalent to more than 5 million voters.
Magbota ako sa Lunes!
But what's interesting is that female voters exceed the number of male voters in the Philippines in the May 2019 elections. There are 51% or 31 million female voters, while there are only 49% or 30 million male voters. Could this be the reason why female candidates led the recent surveys?
Girl power!
The Luzon region is considered to have a vote-rich population. This includes the National Capital Region, Calabarzon and Central Luzon, which account for about 11 million voters, while the province of Cebu has the most number of voters in the Visayas, with more than 3 million voters. In the previous elections in the country in 2010, 2013, and 2016, the voter turnout was not high, but it gradually increased every election period based on data from the COMELEC. Compared with the total number of voters in those elections, only 74% voted in 2010, 77% in 2013, and 84% in the 2016 presidential elections. On Monday, let's go out and vote and exercise our right of suffrage. Our votes will have a great effect if we want true change in our nation. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue.
And whether we like it or not, the public will be affected by the weather condition this coming election day. Let's find out the weather forecast and the things to prepare on the day of the polls as Ray Pelayo reports.
Rain or shine, prepare your umbrellas and other gears to face the weather this coming Monday, May 13. Based on the forecast of the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration or PAGASA, the Intertropical Convergence Zone will bring cloudy skies with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms in most parts of Visayas and Mindanao. On the other hand, fair weather will be experienced over northern and central Luzon with more than 40 degrees Celsius heat index, especially in Tuguegarao City, Dagupan City, Cabanatuan City, and Isabela. The public are advised to be cautious because this level of heat index may cause dehydration and heat stroke. Wearing light-colored clothes and drinking water will help in preventing them. Bring light foods when going to the polling precincts because accepting food from the candidates in the elections is prohibited. The Board of Election Inspectors are tasked to secure the vote counting machines and ballots encoded in the machines. When a calamity strikes, it is possible for COMELEC to declare failure of election depending on the scope of damages the calamity would bring out, the poll body said. Ray Pilayo, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
And for the news abroad, the U.S. has more than doubled tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese products in a sharp escalation of the country's damaging trade war. Tariffs on affected Chinese goods have risen to 25% from 10%, and Beijing has vowed to retaliate. China said it deeply regrets the move and will have to take the necessary countermeasures. The move comes as high-level officials from both sides are attempting to salvage a trade deal in Washington. Meanwhile, a German woman who posed as a wealthy heiress to scam boutique New York hotels and fashionable friends was sentenced to 4 to 12 years in prison. Beverly Saison will tell us why.
Blinded by the glitter and glamour of New York City, Anna Sorokin, 28, was sentenced to prison for defrauding hotels, restaurants, a private jet operator, and banks out of more than $200,000. Sorokin, a would-be art collector, planned to open a members-only arts club but became known as the Soho Grifter after her deception upon New York's glitzy social scene came to light. She was found guilty last month of grand larceny and theft of services. She was also fined $24,000 and ordered to pay restitution of about $199,000. At the hearing, Judge Diane Kiesel rejected the defense lawyer's claim that Sorokin was merely trying to make it in New York, in the words of the Frank Sinatra song about the city.
Sadly, I agree with people if Ms. Sorokin had spent half as much time working legitimately to raise money for a foundation that sounded like a good addition to New York, as she spent concocting phony bank statements, fake wire transfers, and non-existent financial advisors. She might have done quite well for herself. She's clearly smart and very creative.
Under her assumed name, Anna Delvey, Sorokin falsely claimed she had a multi-million-dollar trust fund at her disposal as she hired a private jet, attended elite parties, and lived in a luxury New York hotel. She maintained the scam for almost 4 years. Meanwhile, prosecutors said Sorokin had not a cent to her name. Her father is reportedly a former trucker who runs a heating and cooling business. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement said in a statement that Sorokin was a German citizen who had illegally overstayed in the United States. The agency said it will seek to send her back to Germany once her criminal proceedings are over. Meanwhile, during the trial, she was admonished for throwing tantrums when she couldn't get her stylist-curated outfits and drew unflattering sketches of the lead prosecutor during testimony.
The defendant repeatedly delayed these court proceedings because she was not happy with the clothing that was offered to her by the Department of Corrections. She seemed to be basking in the press attention rather than thinking seriously about the crimes that she had committed and how they had affected people.
But at sentencing, she was humbled. Sorokin's story became a media sensation, and a TV series about her life was also planned. Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
Former U.S. intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning has been released from prison despite refusing to testify before an investigation into WikiLeaks. Manning, 31, was held for 62 days after a Virginia judge ordered her taken into custody in March. However, she will have to appear again before a grand jury on the 16th of May. Manning was found guilty in 2013 of charges including espionage for leaking secret military files to WikiLeaks, but her sentence was later commuted. The U.S. says it has seized a North Korean cargo ship accusing it of violating international sanctions. Kath Dumaraos explains why.
In an unusual civil forfeiture action, the U.S. Justice Department announced on Thursday it has seized a major cargo vessel belonging to North Korea known as the Wise Honest, which officials allege violated U.S. and United Nations sanctions by illicitly shipping coal from North Korea. The ship, which was first confiscated by other foreign maritime authorities in Indonesia in April 2018, is now in the possession of the United States and is currently approaching U.S. territorial waters, a Justice Department official said. The 17,061-ton ship, which also was used to deliver heavy machinery to North Korea, is one of the country's largest bulk carriers, the Justice Department said. The case marks the first time the United States has seized a North Korean cargo vessel for violating sanctions. According to UN sanctions monitors, the Wise Honest was transporting 25,500 tons of coal when it was detained by Indonesia in April 2018. The UN report estimated that the value of the ship's coal cargo was around $3 million. North Korea fired what appeared to be 2 short-range missiles on Thursday in its second such test in less than a week, and U.S. President Donald Trump said nobody is happy at the missile launches. The United States has given no sign of willingness to budge on sanctions. North Korea has effectively pulled back from engagement with Washington since a summit between leader Kim Jong-un and Trump in February fell apart without agreement on U.S. demands for the dismantling of Pyongyang's nuclear program and Kim's demands for relief from punishing sanctions. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
More than 1,000 guns and rounds of ammunition were seized from a Bel Air mansion on Wednesday, but the man arrested during the raid was released by Los Angeles authorities on Thursday after posting a $50,000 bond. 57-year-old Gerard Sands was arrested on suspicion of unlawful transportation and selling of assault weapons. Local media reported that among the weapons seized from the home were hundreds of rifles and pistols and manufacturing equipment. Authorities had reportedly been tipped off that a resident of the home was selling guns illegally. Singapore has passed a controversial bill that could equip the government with extensive powers to police online media and free speech. Meanwhile, dengue in France's Reunion Island has seen a sharp rise. Annie Mancilia will tell us why.
In France's La Reunion Island in the Indian Ocean is reeling from a dengue outbreak, with more than 1,500 cases detected in early May, and with more expected in the coming weeks with warmer temperatures. The south of the island has been most affected, and St. Pierre Hospital has been admitting 30 to 40 new patients every 24 hours since last week. One dengue patient said she had suffered nausea, muscle ache, headaches, and lack of appetite on top of fevers. Civil security officers from mainland France arrived earlier this month to reinforce an information campaign with teams visiting homes to check for stagnant water where dengue mosquitoes usually nest. In Russia, hundreds of thousands of Russians marched through the center of Moscow on Thursday, holding old fading portraits of their relatives who fought in the World War II. The tradition of bringing portraits of killed and missing soldiers to Victory Day celebrations started soon after the war ended. Russian President Vladimir Putin also marched through the Red Square with the image of his father, also Vladimir, who fought in the war. The first actual march with portraits branded Immortal Regiment was held in 2012 in the Siberian city of Tomsk. Some 6,000 people walked through the streets of the city holding portraits of their ancestors and loved ones. In Sudan, Sudanese Rapid Support Forces seized 241 kilograms of gold from a plane that landed in Khartoum on Thursday in an investigation into possible smuggling. The plane had departed from Nile River State, the RSF said. The RSF said that only 93 of the 241 kilograms had been cleared for export. The status of the remaining quantity was unclear. And in Singapore has passed a controversial anti-fake news law that gives authorities sweeping powers to police online platforms and even private chat groups. The government can now order platforms to remove what it deems to be false statements that are against the public interest and to post corrections. Authorities say the bill protects citizens from fake news, but critics say it poses a serious threat to civil liberties. Ani Mancilia, UNTV News and Rescue, Singapore.
A story of a 20-year-old cello player has inspired many to help him pursue college for his love of music. Nina Armilio will tell us why.
His music is just breathtaking.
My name is Eddie Adams, and I'm 20 years old, and I'm a sophomore at George Mason.
Adams grew up in poverty. He has nothing to fall back on. His only home at 20 years old is his dorm room. Despite tormented days, he must survive. From losing his job, keeping up with his studies, to helping his mom pay her car insurance, eating just frozen broccoli, to maintaining a rented cello. These past few weeks was just incredible for Eddie Adams. It all began when Eddie's story has inspired people to help him cover his college costs. They've set up a GoFundMe page that received more than $140,000 in donations, aside from gifts and gift certificates from different benefactors.
My life is like almost taken like a complete 360 in like 2 weeks, and it's kind of unbelievable. And I'm trying to still focus on, being a student and, all of this stuff happening right now.
It's moving, and I happened to cross him on a day where he was in financial dire straits. He hadn't eaten. He was losing his job because he lost his car because he couldn't get to the job. He was losing his cello because he didn't have the money to rent the cello. And I just thought, what person can try to go to class and deal with all of that?
With encouragement from teachers and help from YouTube cello videos, he persevered. The cello has become his lifeline, providing him refuge from a difficult home life. Despite the extreme hardship, he's now the lead cellist in the orchestra at Virginia's George Mason University. Eddie's mentor, Jun Huang, the director of strings at George Mason University, said Eddie's story is just moving, that she doesn't tire in helping her students, aside from Eddie, to pursue their passion for music.
I want to open doors for these students. And what is in Eddie's way is the door itself. I mean, we can't even get to the door for the things that are in his way. And so one by one, I just thought, okay, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna give you a cello, I'm gonna give you a bow. And with every obstacle that was removed, I thought, now let's see what you can do. Now let's see what you can do.
And for what looks like a bright future, Eddie is grateful for all the help he has received to be able to continue his music.
For me, it's just like, I still just kind of don't really understand. I feel like I just kind of got really lucky in terms of everything that's going on right now. And I'm very grateful for it, but also can't really express how grateful. And I feel like saying thank you isn't enough.
UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news this May 10, 2019. On behalf of Angelo Castro III, I am William Theo. And before we close, we will recap with today's significant sound bites. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening. Happy weekend.
Those who are planning to buy and sell their boats, na gagawin namin lahat, and wag na silang mag-attempt.
When an SD card is reported as corrupted, we respond by preparing replacement cards. And the replacement cards are then swapped for the corrupted SD cards. Or as they say, taliwaan yan. So, we do not issue out new SD cards unless we get the corrupted SD cards in return.
Promise the people that kaning election and every other election that will take place during my time, my watch, just follow rules. It's when you start to break rules, mangod mo nang magkaletse-letse. Sundin mo lang yung batas at walang problema.
Ito rin yung hiling ng Senado and Kongreso na magkaroon nga muna ng pilot implementation ng proposed na measure na ito for the motorcycle taxis para rin makatulong sa pagbabalangkas ng mas more detailed na regulations na ilalagay dun sa kanilang batas.
It's time to go back to the moon, this time to stay.